In the heart of Benue State, in a village called Upper, there once lived two sisters whose lives would be forever bound by jealousy, beauty, betrayal, and the mysterious power of the river. One sister, In, was as radiant as the morning sun, admired by many, desired by countless suitors. The other, Orinya, though not without charm, was overshadowed by her siblings' beauty. What began as envy soon grew into a seed of bitterness, until one fateful day, everything changed. Today, I will tell you their story, a tale whispered in Upper under the moonlight, told to children as both a warning and a lesson. Listen carefully, for in it lie the voices of the elders, the whispers of the river, and the echoes of the drums of old. The village of Upper was small but full of life, mud huts with thatched roofs, red earth paths winding between cassava farms, and the sound of drums echoing during festivals. Children played wrestling games at the square, elders sat beneath mango trees, and women sold roasted yam and fresh palm wine by the roadside. In this village lived two sisters. In, the elder sister, graceful, with skin that glowed like polished ebony and eyes that sparkled like the stars. She was known as the flower of Upper. Every young man who passed through the village asked for her hand in marriage. Orinya, the younger sister, though not plain, always felt invisible beside In. Where In drew smiles, Orinya drew glances of pity or neglect. The contrast between them only grew as In blossomed. Suitors arrived from near and far. Young men brought baskets of yams, calabashes of palm wine, and fat goats as bride price proposals. The drummers would sometimes beat praise rhythms when In walked through the market, and even the masquerades danced more fiercely at the sight of her. But for Orinya, it was a slow-burning torment. Every compliment In received felt like a thorn in her chest. She began to avoid gatherings, preferring to sit alone at the edge of the compound, grinding millet in silence. One night, lying on her raffia mat, Orinya whispered into the darkness, "Why must she have everything? Her beauty, her suitors, her songs that even the elders praise. And I am nothing but her shadow." The jealousy festered like a wound that would not heal. Proverbs of the elders. When the yam sprout envies the iroko, it forgets its season. The goat that watches the lion's mane forgets its own horns. One scorching afternoon, the sisters went to the Upper river to fetch water. The river was more than water, it was life, spirit, and mystery. Women washed clothes on its banks, children splashed in its shallows, and hunters often stopped to cleanse their hands before entering the forest. Mothers warned their children never to speak carelessly by the banks, for the river spirits listened. That day, In carried her calabash and sang softly as she walked. Her voice was clear, like the flute of a herdsman at dusk. Orinya walked behind her, her heart restless. Every note In sang stung her like a bee. As In bent to fill her calabash, Orinya's eyes darkened. A voice within her whispered, "Push her. Free yourself." Her hands trembled, but envy is a dangerous spirit. With sudden force, she shoved In into the current. "In!" Orinya cried out, feigning horror. In's scream echoed once before the river embraced her. The ripples closed, leaving silence. The calabash floated, turned twice, and drifted downstream. Orinya's chest pounded. She expected the villagers to find In's lifeless body. But hours turned to days, and no body surfaced. Instead, strange whispers spread through Upper, the river had embraced In. Proverbs of the elders. What water hides, the sky remembers. Jealousy is fire, it burns the bearer first. Deep beneath the waters, In opened her eyes. Instead of drowning, she found herself in a luminous palace of corals and shimmering shells. All around her were beings neither fully human nor fish, the marine spirits, adorned with pearls and garments woven of water. The great hall glowed with light that seemed to come from the river itself. Columns of pearl rose toward a ceiling made of glassy ripples, and golden fish swam through the air like birds. In stood in awe. A voice boomed. In, daughter of Upper, you have been chosen. The river accepts you. From today, you are no longer of the earth, you are queen of the marine kingdom. A crown of river pearls was set upon her head. Robes of flowing water wrapped her form. Instead of fear, a deep calm filled her. Here, she was not just in the villager, she was in the queen. She learned the secrets of the deep. The spirits taught her how the tides sing, how the reeds carry messages, how dreams drift upon currents into the hearts of men. In time, ruled with wisdom and calm authority, her laughter rolling like waves across her court. Yet at night, she would sometimes sit alone on a throne of coral, her thoughts wandering to Upper, her village, and the face of her younger sister. Back in the village, Orinya tried to live as though nothing had happened, but guilt is a stone in the throat. Her days were filled with silence, her nights with nightmares. She saw In's face in her dreams, smiling, vanishing into water. At dawn, unable to bear it, Orinya walked to the river bank. Kneeling in the sand, she sang softly. Musical notes in, "My sister, come out and come home." In, "My sister, don't leave me alone," musical notes. The river rippled. The water stirred. Then, to Orinya's shock, In rose, radiant and glowing, her eyes brighter than the moon. "Orinya," In said gently, "do not weep. I am well. I am queen now. The river has become my home." Orinya fell to her knees, tears soaking the earth. "Forgive me, sister. Please, return to the village." But In only smiled, her voice soft as the current. "I forgive you, Orinya. But my feet belong to the waters now." From that day, whenever Orinya sang at dawn, In would emerge. They spoke as sisters do, of roasted yam at the market, of moonlit dances, of their mother's laughter. Then In would walk Orinya through the bush path. But as soon as the first huts of Upper came into sight, In would pause, turn, and run back to the river, vanishing into its depths. This continued for months. The villagers whispered that Orinya had begun consulting with spirits. Proverbs of the elders. The tongue that sings truth will wake the river. Blood calls blood, even across water. At dawn, the young men of Upper went to the bush path. They laid slippery plantain leaves and old stones wherein always turned back. Then they waited. That morning, Orinya sang as usual. "Ina, my sister, come out and come home." The water stirred. Ina emerged, radiant as ever. She and Orinya laughed together, tears in their eyes. Then In turned to run back. Her foot met the oiled stone. She slipped. Before she could rise, strong arms caught her. The young men wrapped her in cloth and lifted her up. "Forgive us, River Queen," they murmured, "but we claim you for the land." They carried her toward Upper, singing victory songs. Women ululated, children ran behind, and drums thundered. In had returned. Proverbs of the elders. A careful plan walks faster than fear. Even water cannot outrun a promise. As fate would have it, the prince of a neighboring land came to Upper soon after, seeking a bride. He was tall, wise-eyed, with warriors at his side. The villagers welcomed him with kola nuts and palm wine. When the prince saw In, he was struck into silence. "Who is this maiden?" he asked, "whose beauty rivals the dawn and whose presence is like cool water in harmattan?" The elders told him her story. Instead of fear, the prince was moved with admiration. "Such a woman," he said, "has known two words. Her heart is tested. Let her choose freely, and I will honor her." In the days that followed, he visited her often. They spoke of famine, of justice, of dreams for their people. In found his words kind and his laughter steady. Her heart, though scarred by the river, opened slowly to him. When the moon was full, she agreed to marry him. The village erupted in joy. Masquerades danced, drums rolled, and goats were slaughtered in feasting. Palm wine flowed, and songs of praise echoed. In Flower of Oppa, Bride of the Land. From river deep to kingly hand. Proverbs of the Elders. A heart that has crossed rivers knows where to build a bridge. The crown waits for the head that is ready, and what of Orinya? She lived with shame like dust in her throat. But in seeing her sorrow, embraced her. Jealousy is a shadow, but forgiveness is light, in said. I forgave you at the river. Now walk in light with me. From that day, the sisters were inseparable. In made Orinya her closest companion, counselor, and sister in song. Together, they ruled wisely. Orinya was no longer remembered for envy but for humility and courage. Mothers told their daughters, learn from Orinya. Confess early, love deeply, and guard your heart. Proverbs of the Elders. The tree that bent in storm can still bear fruit. Forgiveness is water, wash your hands and eat. The tale of In and Orinya became a lesson in Oppa. Elders told it by the fireside. Envy digs a pit, but love fills it up. The river may keep secrets, but truth always floats to the surface. Two sisters may fight, but blood will always call blood. The river does not forget, but it can forgive. The village does not forget, but it can heal. And sisters, oh, sisters, can be lost and found again in the space of a song. Thus ends the tale of In and Orinya, a story of jealousy turned to forgiveness, of a river that embraced and released, of a queen who once belonged to two worlds. When next you pass by the Oppa River, listen closely. Some say, on quiet mornings, you can still hear a faint song drifting across the waters. Musical notes in My Sister, Come Out and Come Home, musical notes. The water shivers, the reeds bow, and the village remembers.